All right, here we are with the Riz, the man, the power. I mean, last time we talked about like how you were the brains behind the Lions wire and the brawn behind the Browns wire and the meat but you're just meat, right? You're meat now. Everyone's calling you meat on the street. And Jeff Risdon, the meat in the
But
street.
I don't want to be. I don't want to be meat like Nuke LaLoosh and Bull Durham. I don't want to be that kind of meat.
You want?
I want to be more of the. I want to be more of the Tommy Lee kind of meat from his wedding video. That's right. That's what I'm looking
for. You want to be meat from Porky's. That's it. And if you haven't seen Porky's, folks, look, I know a lot of younger folks listen to the show that maybe weren't in the Porky's generation. Watch that video. It is for you. For you. All right, so let's get on. We'll talk football. It's me and the meat, and it's known as Riz's Last Stand. Riz, this is it, man. This is the last bit we got before the NFL draft, and you're on the spot, right? We got the.
I'm so ready for this draft.
I'm so ready. Wrong. We got nothing else to talk about. We got all the stuff that's going on. All right, so first off, I want to talk about guys that we love that aren't going to fall in our lap, and I'm going to start. This is. People heard me, but this is way back to Senior Bowl, right? Remember when we were doing the dance at the daiquiri bar? I was drinking that Superman with the Everclear and getting headaches.
Oh yeah. I had the combination banana daiquiri and pina colada.
Oh,
that was heavenly.
I want to go back there right now.
And that place was great. My little friend Mac Robinson got so loaded. That was wonderful. That's what happens when you drink with us when you weigh 95 pounds.
Mac actually set his drink on a little box on the street as he walked away, and he walked away from half a drink. It was a funny place because the drinks were great. They were all smoothie and they were all tasty. And like I said, Everclear and something else just as retarded was in my drink. Sorry, hold on. Something else just as disgusting was in my drink and it messed me up. The idea was, though, that you're going to get messed. There was nobody in that place other than us, right? I mean,
right. The best for me was we're drinking and George Foster walks by.
Yeah.
And I know George a little bit. And he looks in the window and he points at me and he's like, and walking. Like, thanks, George.
That's for the YouTube folks, the thumbs up there. Yeah, like literally, it's like a corner place, and you're sitting there, and it's got all the bright lights, and there's like a whole long, what is it, like 30 little daiquiri machines?
It's like a froyo place.
Yeah.
Except they have liquor.
Yeah, and it's not just like some liquor. It's like there's an Everclear one, right? And there's like 30 of them, and you're in the corner, and it's glass, and you're looking out, and you're watching all the people walk by that are there for Senior Bowl because it's in a main drag, and they're putting together drinks, and they're like, yeah, this is Superman. It was like I said, it was like Everclear and like Don Q 151
like
or something.
Blue Curacao and Everclear and weird stuff. Red raspberry schnapps or something.
And so we were in there alone. It was a fine place. I couldn't understand why a bunch of people weren't there, other than, well, it's frou-frou drinks or whatever. And we spent plenty of time in oh God, what was the place across from the hotel? What was it? The
Veets.
The Veets, yeah, Veets. Yeah. Spent time there, which was a little bit of a dive bar. All over. We were all over the place drinking. Good time. So if you haven't seen Super Bowl or Senior Bowl, go do that. But Mobile, Alabama has it going on. All right, all that. We saw a lot of guys there. And there's a lot of guys that we like and that we think are cool, and we're like, oh my God, that's awesome. Oh, that's awesome. And if we could pick like 6 guys, we would do that. We would bring them all in the Lions. Unfortunately, the draft works in such a way that you can only get one, and then everyone else gets a choice. How the hell is it that everyone else gets a voice in this goddamn draft, and we can't just pick 6, Riz? Who set this up? Whoever it is somebody who I am unhappy with right now, 100%.
That would be Pete Rozelle, Gil Brandt.
I hate him.
Yeah.
And probably
I love Gil.
Let's just blame Goodell. Let's blame Goodell. So, okay, we'll start out with guys that we want.
Blame Goodell. That's good.
We'll start with guys that we want but aren't going to fall in our lap. And the guy that I'm going to start with is straight out of the Senior Bowl. Didn't really see him. I saw him on the elephant walk, right, doing the underwear thing. And I was like, holy shit, this guy's got it going on. Dalton Risner, and he's a guy who looks really, really strong out there.
He's a good player. Offensive tackle from Kansas State, for those who don't. Yeah.
Big dude, right? Big dude who has all the stuff you're looking for.
Country strong.
Yeah, that's it.
He's
308 pounds, right? Little 6 foot half inch guy who's strong as hell. He went out there the first play. He got blasted in the nose. Someone hit him up under. They stabbed him up under the fucking helmet.
That's right.
Right.
That's
Bloody
right.
nose. Boom. He did like 4 or 5 reps after that, and everyone sees everything. This is how it works. It's not like you and me. We stub our toe and everyone laughs at us and we move on and have to suffer. They saw his nose bleeding. He kept going. They stopped him. They pulled him aside. They shoved a bunch of cotton up his nose, and he turned and he did the rest of the practice. And think about it. Okay. Look, I'm climbing I'm doing 5, 6, 7 flights of stairs. I'm like, whew, okay, I could breathe now. Let's take a pause, right? Now, I'm not a football player. I'm not the peak physical. I'm not like the guy you're looking for. I'm the opposite side of the spectrum, right? But he stopped, shoved a bunch of cotton up his nose, and ran practice and didn't show anything. He's only breathing out of one nostril. Yeah, he's got one nose shut down, right? And he's out there, and you couldn't notice anything.
And keep in mind,
wow,
when you're wearing, you have a mouthpiece in it that inhibits breathing to begin with.
Right.
There is an art to breathing with a mouthpiece in, and some of that involves your nose, and he couldn't use his nose. This dude's a monster, man. He's
one of those tough guys, those gritty sons of bitches that I looked at him. And I watched him the rest of the time. Like Andy Isabella's a guy we can talk about. And I fell out of love with Andy as time wore on.
Agreed.
Risdon is a guy that I was like, wow. Two things. One, I would love him as a player on my team just from his attitude alone. Number two, I'd kind of like to snuggle with him at night.
Well then, we'll let you handle that.
All right.
I like it because his name is similar to mine, and it's easier.
He's the Riz. He is the other Riz.
It is pronounced a little bit differently. He actually goes by Risner.
Yeah. He's the Rise. You got the Riz and the Rise.
I like that. I can rise. He can rise with me or something like that. We got to work
the Riz. See, now that's the other conversation that we're going to have that you shut down.
Yes.
So what do you think?
We were laughing about when we came on here.
He's not going to show up in our world, is he? It's an unfortunate.
No, he's not, because he is not worthy of the number 8 pick, and he will not be there at 43. He will not be there probably at 33. He's in the 18 to 30 range. That's where he's going to go.
We'll just trade down then. You just got to say to somebody you want to trade down, right? You just point at the guys at 22 and say, I'm going to trade down to you.
See, I shared this opinion yesterday on the Big Drew and Jim show when I was sitting in.
I love those
guys. Am more of the inclination that you move up in the first round or up in the second, like they did last year to get Deshaun Hand, give away a pick next year and go up and get a guy at the end of the first round so you get that 5th-year option on him. That's what
I would go up in 2, but boy, up in 1 is so expensive. You scare the hell out of me. But this goes back to the conversation we had last time, right? Where you're looking for a guy. You're looking for that one piece.
One specific dude who does something that you cannot get from anybody else later on.
I don't think the Lions are there. I don't think that we're looking for one guy. I think we're looking for 2, 3, or 4 guys. And I see us moving up in the second, not the first. Sorry.
That's we're allowed to disagree, Chris. It's okay.
No. You got to say some horrible swear words at me.
This isn't 97.1. I'm not professionally disagreeable. Sorry.
Wow. We'll never get the ratings. Okay, so move on. Risner's one guy that's great, but just not in our lap. He just doesn't fit in our wingspan. Anyone else that you can think of that we really would love, it would be a good fit, but doesn't land in the Lions' lap by the way the draft breaks down?
I'm controversial on this. I really like Byron Murphy, the cornerback out of Washington. He's a top 10 talent on my board. He is not going in the top 10. He might not go in the top 20. He's not going to be there in the 40s, though. I love the guy. I think he's smooth. He's confident. He makes plays, but he's also able to play in coverage without the ball being thrown at him and still be effective. He's a little bit smaller than you want, but he can play in the slot. He can play outside. I would love him to be the number 2 cornerback. I think he's perfectly suited to be a number 2 cornerback in the NFL. And the Lions, I'm okay with Coleman, and I actually like the flyer on Rashaan Melvin. The more I study it, and the more that I talk to some Colts guys, they're like, he's a really good player. He's just hurt all the time. If you get him healthy, he's great. So it sort of reminds me of Rasheed Mathis when he got here, and I think he could he could absolutely be that guy again, and I'm okay with that. But I want somebody long term, and Byron Murphy would be long term, and I would love that. But he's another guy. He's going in the same range as Reiser. He's 15 to 30 overall. That's where he's going to go, and that's just you're not going to fall back that far if you're trading out of 8, and you're not going to come up that far coming from the other direction. So that's sort of a limbo land.
Interesting.
Electric Larry land.
I love the idea of Rashean, right? I would love to see that kind of Mathis replacement come in. And
it would be wonderful.
I look at Ash's board. We talked about it earlier, and Murphy falls to like the depth place. He's not like Yasin. Rock Yasin is a starter for a free agent next year when you think of the Lions. And I'm like, I love Rock, right? I love his voice. I love how he chats it up on some people call it chin music on the voice or on the field. He was just spirited. I loved how he played. He had a couple of rough spots, and he's playing against college talent here. I think he might be exposed a little bit against NFL talent.
If you didn't like Nevin Lawson holding, you're not gonna like Rock Yasin. He holds a lot because he doesn't transition well from his back pedal. He doesn't have the smoothest, ankles, hips. He was a wrestler. He was a high school wrestler. So he wants to play with his hands. That's not the best thing to do when you're on a date or in the NFL at cornerback. Be respectful out there, young man.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's talk about one other guy who, and this is a spot. It's an interesting spot for the Lions, right? Because I think we can agree that at wide receiver, the Lions are not there. They need some threats.
Make it happen.
If I think about it, there's a guy we've talked about a little bit, and of course I'm in love with him. I think Debo is a possibility. Right in the second round.
Pants are coming off.
Woo! But we talked to Tony earlier, and Tony doesn't think Debo is really right there. I talked about, and I guess we can talk about him in a second. But the guy that I'm thinking of behind Debo, Terry Maclaurin. He's a guy that I think has a lot of possibility, that fits well with this team. But by the same token, I don't think he falls where we need him on the draft board. Where are you at, Riz? Do you think Terry Maclaurin is a guy that can help us out?
I do. I think he's going to go in the 35 to 50 overall range. So that's right where the Lions are.
We are, yeah.
I don't think they want to take him there. I don't think they see him. So he coming from Ohio State, he doesn't have overwhelming statistics. Right. He wasn't asked to do a lot of things that NFL receivers are asked to do.
He had a good biggest quarterback helping him too, right? I mean,
yes, he had a very good quarterback, a good scheme to get him open on the routes that he runs. He's not a guy who is responsible for getting himself open all that much. And that's going to be one of the criticisms held against him. He wasn't all that productive, wasn't a featured guy. Now, some people will consider that as being with the athleticism that he showed at the Senior Bowl and at the Combine that okay, this is upside. He hasn't developed yet. Well, you're going to have to develop him. Right. That's part of the deal. Yeah. The saving grace for him is that he's an awesome special teams player already. If you're the number 3 wide receiver on the team, you better come in and play special teams. He can be really good at that right away. Yeah. And that's a ticket for him to stick. When he first got announced to the Senior Bowl, a lot of people were like, oh, this guy, we know he's going to be a great gunner, a position that's going away. Can he show more outside the dynamics of Urban Meyer's offense than what he's done? And he has done that. Yep. And there's a lot of people that are very high on him. There are some people who think he's going to go at the end of the first round. There's a lot of people who think New England's going to take him at the end of the first round. Well, of course, if the Patriots are interested, therefore the Lions are interested.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that thinking as much as I did even 2 weeks ago, but sure. It's still something you have to consider.
Sidebar. Did you see Orlovsky break down Dwayne Haskins?
I did. The 3 minutes.
How freaking awesome. Orlovsky, I'm telling you, this guy has a special place in the NFL. People laugh at him for the safety and all the other stuff. Holy shit, his analysis, right? I mean, Tell me I'm wrong.
I like that he understands how to explain to both football nerds and to the layman. I love that. It's exactly what you want.
Exactly. And when he stops and says, "Okay, you're looking at this window. Why aren't you throwing there?" "Oh, no. Because this. We're gonna look at the next window. That's the check down." It's like, what? And he plays it out. I retweeted it.
And
Dan Miller retweeted it. It was great.
I thought Haskins did a very good job in it as well.
Yeah.
And he's taken some hits the past few days. I still don't understand how you can watch what he did at Ohio State and watch what Drew Lock did at Missouri or Daniel Jones did at Duke and have any concept that those guys are better than him. I just don't. The NFL does apparently, but I'm befuddled by it.
As a full-blown kind of Michigan guy who has a soft spot for Michigan State, so don't hate me, staters, but absolutely despises Ohio State. One of my favorite Lions is Chris Spielman, right? I can see past it into the NFL, right? And this guy,
you have to. You have to.
He's a special talent.
You know that he will be the first Big Ten quarterback taken in the first round since Kerry Collins. Isn't that crazy?
Wow. Why do you do that? I mean, like now I gotta
somebody tweeted that to the radio show yesterday. I'm like, really? And so I looked it up. I'm like, holy crap, that's true.
Damn, that's crazy. All right, Riz, let's get through this. Let's take a look at.
All right.
I want to do the top 3 rounds, and we've talked about guys that we're not going to get, right?
Right.
And Dalton Risner is the one that I think it hurts because I like this guy a lot. I think he'd help us, but he's just not in our span of whatever. We're going to talk round 1. We're going to talk round 2. We're going to talk round 3, and I want you to kind of put your thinking cap on. You've done a million drafts, but this is Risdon's last stand. This is Risdon's last stand. This is where you're putting it down ahead of the draft. We're going to get the Riz is Wrong music ready. We're going to bong, bong for the next 18 months. You don't even get a year. You're getting 18 months of Riz is Wrong. Bong.
This will be a good year for it because I tell you what, this year,
I'm trying to make the stakes high here, and it's really it's like
I will tell you right now that I have less idea of what this Lions draft is going to look like than I have in any of the other Bob Quinn ones.
Okay.
First year, I knew it was either going to be Taylor Decker or Ryan Kelly.
Yep.
Got that one right. Yep. Second year, I knew it was Jared Davis. I told people that. They laughed at me, and I was right, so they can suck my balls.
Okay. So
last year was great. But good. But okay, let's go. Let's do this year.
I want to get the Riz is Wrong horn ready. I want everyone to be fully associated. This is the Riz is Wrong horn. It may also have to do with timing. Okay, so here we go. You're not going to be minding.
Now I'm thinking of Pam Anderson,
right? You're like, oh, this is okay. I could be right or wrong, right? I got the full blow. Okay.
Yes.
Round 1. All right. The clock is ticking. You can't trade away. You're stuck at number 8. Here it is. The Riz is on the clock. His whole life, his career is on the line. If he doesn't do this, people are saying Riz is the shittiest GM. He's in Millenland. Who do you pick?
If Josh Allen is there, I run to the podium.
Me too. But he's not. Let's be real.
I beg to differ. He will be my pick. I will tip it. In my final mock draft at Real GM, he is the number 8 pick in the draft. He falls.
Holy cow. Wow. Now, I'm going to tell you, Ortiz says Jonah Williams is the guy. Ortiz is stuck on it. And I hate to, look, you know how much I love Tony, right? Tony's like,
Tony's awesome. Tony's
and I love you too, Riz, right? You're my other brother from another mother. But you guys are completely different places here. So help me understand the Josh Allen thing, because I'm with you. I love Josh Allen. So
I think there's I don't want to say it's a great chance. I think there's a fair chance that Josh Allen is there. What it takes is 2 quarterbacks and 1 offensive lineman to go, and it will either be then Ed Oliver or Josh Allen will be available at 8, because Devin White is going 5. That's like the worst kept secret. Tampa Bay has been on him since before the combine. We've heard that.
Yeah.
Quinnen Williams will go. Nick Bosa will go. Kyler Murray will go. So there's 4 of your first 5 picks right there. And then where's the other quarterback come in? Does Jacksonville take Jawan Taylor as their offensive number 2? There's a lot of people that are now linking TJ Hawkinson to Jacksonville. Right. That makes a lot of sense. I actually think that would be a great pick for them.
All right. So
taking away the Lions angle from it. So then I'm looking at if Josh Allen is there, if he's the pick. What I think will happen if he's not there is that the internal battle is going to be between Jonah Williams and TJ Hawkinson. I don't know who's going to win that battle, but it's sure. I think Matt Patricia will want Hawkinson. I think Bob Quinn will want Williams.
All right.
As you know, I loathe the concept of drafting an offensive left tackle, moving him to right guard, the least important position on the field, a position where you already have a serviceable starter and a potential future starter. Why they're doing it, I don't believe in what they're doing there, but they seem hell bent on doing it. So if Allen's gone, I do think that Jonah Williams will be the pick. But Chris interject.
No, I'm just like preach. You. So okay, first off, I got to way back to the beginning, right? And I'm gonna throw the Riz's wrong horn, and I'm doing that on behalf of my boy. Okay, Jacob says that the Lions are picking Ed Oliver, not Josh Allen, and so I just want my 14-year-old to be pitted against you for everyone to see, and if he wins, he will be, I don't know, elevated.
He's a good kid. Good kid.
He's a good kid. But he will elevate. He will be elevated in his school.
He didn't try to drink my margarita, which was awesome.
Right. But he keeps drinking my. Okay, so there's that, right? Ed Oliver or Josh Allen. I get that. Yeah. That's cool. Here's where I hurt, and we talked about this with Tony Ortiz, and Case is the one that kind of really clued me in. But the Risdon School of Drafting Arts also got me this year as we started thinking about this. Right, you've done a great job, and I appreciate everything you've given me. You know, as we talk about this, and I do actually really shortly want to give you credit. You've guided me, but not told me what to think, and I appreciate that, Riz. You are absolutely spectacular at this. One of the things, though, as I sit here and think about it, is TJ Hawkinson is a tight end. And if I think about a tight end this year, oh, yeah, I need him. But if I think about him in the scheme of my team, I don't care if I have a tight end and a rookie contract. Because I can get a veteran tight end who's really good for fucking cheap, right? I want an edge or a quarterback, but I don't need a quarterback in Detroit, right? But there's certain positions I want.
You're looking at the cost containment.
Yes. Especially with the CBA coming, I don't know what's coming out of it. If I can lock guys in that are high performance, high cost guys typically, but lock them in on a rookie contract, I can go to the free agent market and get some really killer dudes as life goes on. So this is the problem I have with Hawkinson. I like Hawkinson. I think he's good. I kind of like Noah Fant in the second round better than I like Hawkinson in the first.
I don't think he'll be there in the second. I really don't think he'll be there in the second.
Well, he may not be there. You're right. But you see what I'm thinking? You see where my head is?
I completely understand that. And yes, it is not a premium. It's not a position where you have to break the bank to get good people. Jimmy Graham has been a free agent twice. One of them because he didn't want to pay his franchise tag fee, but you can get, good tight ends do move. Tony Gonzalez moved teams in the middle of his career. He's arguably the best ever.
Yeah, great.
There are, and look at there was a couple of really good tight end. There was a couple of lean years, but there are guys that are going to be coming up in the next few years who can be with Jesse James, be like, I'll relate to the Houston Texans when they had number two tight ends, but they were very effective with C.J. Fedorowicz and Ryan Griffin. And there's other teams that have done that as well. Pittsburgh sort of did that, really, with Jesse James. So that potential's there. Denver did it for a while. You can get by with that. And that's also, though, why I'm worried that they will take Jonah Williams, because offensive tackle is that premium position.
Yeah.
And you do not get good tackles on the free agent market. You get Ode Abushi on the free agent market.
But George Kittle is done in 2020. right? And if I think about how this team is being built out, I'm just saying, if I got money to spend on a tight end, it's cheap to get a good George Kittle in 20. I'm just saying, right?
Dogged me for having George Kittle as my number 46 overall player in that draft. Yeah. People are like, you are insane. He's one of the 10 best players in that draft so far.
Did I dog you?
No, you did not.
That's damn straight I didn't, because I love your wrist. All right, so we're round one. We've been through guys that won't fall in our lap. We've been through round one. Yep. Let's step into round two. We're getting a little bit wider in the cone of uncertainty. Things are getting a little crazier, and I've got my guy in my head. I know who I want. I know how the draft is going to work. I'm Superman. Just Marvin the Martian from the from the Flintstones. Yes. That's me right now. I'm floating around. I'm green. I got antennas out of my head. I'm not going to share with you. I'm going to let you pick round two, and then I'm going to make you look like a fool after you do. Go ahead. Who's our round two guy?
Round two. I would love Deebo Samuel.
Oh, you took it. You got my antennas.
Oh. Your antennas are in places that I don't want them to be. I'm reading them a little too loud and clear. I love Deebo. I don't think that the Lions are as enamored with Deebo as what a lot of us fans are. Really? And some of that is to deal with he has been injured, finished the year injured in 4 of the last 5 years. Yes, that does concern me. Mm-hmm. But I'll go back to what my Lions Wire colleague Eric Schlitt said. He is a perfect blend of Anquan Bolden and Golden Tate. Yeah. What more can you want?
Right.
He really is.
That really is the perfect blend too, right? Anquan Bolden is and Golden Tate are the two key security blankets that Matthew Stafford had and needed, right?
Yes.
And if you have that mixture of that toughness and strength that can fight his way into a spot, and that kind of slickness, that greasiness. Yeah. I mean, you're like, holy
like a greased pig. You ever try to catch a greased pig? That was great fun in 4-H when I was a kid.
I did.
Greased pig contest.
I got him.
Yeah. I won a Journey Escape T-shirt for catching the greased pig. That's how long ago that was.
Nice. How's Schlitt doing these days, by the way? He's been a busy guy.
He's actually was sick and had to postpone his podcast, which y'all should listen to too. He's doing better today, thankfully. His kids have been sick too, so it's not a good time for Eric.
We love us some
Eric.
We
need it. Yeah.
So it's one of those good guys. You know what I mean? You want to really, you're like, want to give it to him. No, you don't even want to. He's just a good guy.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
All right,
really easy guy to work with.
Get your Schlitt together. Get your podcast out. I don't care if you're sick. Come on, power through it, fella.
Yes.
All right.
So Deebo. So you think that it will be Deebo? That's interesting. I think the second round, if they don't get a tight end in the first round, they could get one there. Do think that if I don't think Fant will be there. I think, you know what, I'm gonna walk that back. I don't think they're gonna take it. I think they would go another round later, third or fourth round, to get a guy like Jace Sternberger, Josh Oliver, Kahale Waring, who I really don't want, but is going to go that high.
Right.
There are that level of tight ends. Irv Smith, if he's there, and I kind of don't think he will be, and I know our friend Matt Baumkent Platt hates him, and hates me for hitting him.
That's crazy, right? Because he looks good. I see
he's a very good player. He tested very poorly, and And I cannot get this comparison out of my head. And we actually talked about this on the Slack channel. He reminds me so much of DJ Williams from Arkansas, who wound up being a 5th-round pick of the Packers as that undersized, like H-back, supersized fullback, tight end, hybrid wide receiver, and it didn't work. And I totally can't unsee that, but I still like what he did at Alabama. I think there's room for growth.
Kent's a smart guy. I like Kent, and it's like he disagreeing with him. So it's one of those things where you're like, it's a weighted.
He raises valid points. Yeah. He absolutely raises valid points with it.
It's that weighted average thing, right?
Yeah. But I got some heart there that I want to go with.
Did we talk about Kelvin Harmon at all?
Kelvin Harmon, wide receiver from North Carolina State.
So I don't want to say how I got tuned into him, because that's going to show up in the draft show. Okay, people will see that. But Kelvin Harmon shows in his highlight reels as a hell of a wide receiver. I'm not saying it's round 2, maybe not even round 3. He's
going to go in the 40 to 60, 70 range, probably somewhere in there. So that's Lions realm.
So he's a guy that we probably won't fall in our lap. He's not going to be the guy we pick, okay? What do you think of Kelvin Harmon? I beat up Tony Ortiz. Tony's like, I haven't studied him, which means that he's probably not that great, right? Tony's like, I'm gonna, and after the fact, we talked to Tony. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna dive in on this guy. I'm like, I feel like he's like pretty good. I feel like he's got something.
He's a talented player. He is really good at comeback routes and working his way back to the ball. Yeah. And he when the ball's in the air, he doesn't wait.
Right?
And Kelvin Harmon does not wait for the ball to get to him. He runs and goes and snatches the ball.
Right.
Got very good hands. Not the most elusive guy, not the fastest guy, but a very reliable, good outside receiver who can help. Now, and he worked with a slot receiver who's pretty good, and I can't think of his name right now.
Is he going to stretch the field for us? Because that's really what we need in a wide receiver. We need a wide receiver that's going to push the top end and give our tight ends or running back some space.
Yeah, he's not the field stretcher, but he can be effective out there. If you think that Kenny Golladay can be that guy, and there's reason to believe that he can be, then yes, he can. This guy can be your Z.
And that's it, right? You need a Z who can stretch the field, because you got right. Kenny who can stretch the field. But
yeah,
if you only have to put one guy on him, or maybe him and a safety, that lets you crowd the box, right? And
right.
stop everything Bevel wants to do. You need somebody else that can stretch it out on the other side and make that whole fucking space in the field ahead of the offense open. It can open it up. And a guy like Golladay and a guy like Harmon, and again, maybe I'm too high on Harmon because it's such a specific player later in the round, but I really liked what I saw in his highlights when I was working on him, and I'm like, wow, two guys can blast the top end of the field, and all of a sudden now our tight ends and our running backs and our slot receivers can have some space to play in and have an effect for this offense.
Theoretical, have actual value.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, exactly. Something we haven't had in so goddamn long for this team. But
yeah,
okay, and they'll make the run better, right?
Yeah, he blocks. Oh, he is a get after it mother blocker. Real good
mother blocker. I like that. It is. God,
there you go.
You are so sexy. All right, so okay, we've gone through round 2. Now we're gonna go deep. The cone of uncertainty is huge, right? It's like, who's taking what? It's like you're in what?
Yeah,
we're not even.
And it's also what have you taken before that? Right. You know, have you taken a tight end? Have you taken your wide receiver? Have you taken your number 2 cornerback, which I think is very much in play in the second round? Guys like Amani Oruwariye, Justin Lane, David Long. I personally like Isaiah Johnson, and I think the Lions like Isaiah Johnson out of Houston, but I think he's one of those guys. He's sort of in that limbo. Like, I think he's going to go in like the 10 to 20 picks after the Lions pick in the second round.
Yeah. So
athletic freak, former wide receiver, really good guy.
We think about this, and there's so much going on. We got to just automatically, because it's not going to be right. No matter what we say here, it's not going to be right. But we can focus on a guy. We can focus on a guy that we really, really think is the one. And
third round.
Yeah, third round. So let's think about it from a positional perspective, right? First round,
right.
I really, really want an edge guy. That's where my value. That's where my contract, my rookie contract, everything that I want focuses on that edge role, right? Round 2, I like the idea of a tight end if the right guy is there. I like the idea of a wide receiver if the exact right guy is there. There's a lot of needs for this team, right? Round 3. Before we get it, okay. So tell me what you think round 1 and round 2 we got, and why and how that influences.
I will say that we got a pass rusher, be it Allen, Sweat, Oliver, somebody like that.
Sure.
Second round, we will have taken a receiving, a guy who catches the football, either a wide receiver or a tight end.
Yeah.
Unawa Otro.
Good. You and me are like, except for the YouTube people, because they see me talk with my hands, because I learned how to do it. My hands are Italian, folks. What can I do? German.
That's beautiful. You're so Madonna.
All right.
Wearing a Guns N' Roses shirt, you are Madonna. Awesome.
Check out this note. You can see it because I showed it to Keith. You can see that the Guns N' Roses is backwards in my shirt, right? But look what I did. I wrote this. I actually wrote backwards so that Case can read it easier.
Wow.
That's pretty good. That's better than my normal handwriting. I mean, look at that.
That's not awful.
and you can see this is still backwards. I mean, I literally wrote, okay. Round 3.
It's all good.
Wide code of uncertainty. Where are we at, Riz?
I am here. The player that I really want at this point would be Elgton Jenkins, center/guard from Mississippi State.
Who did you take in 1 and 2 on this in this
segment? I took a pass rusher in the first round, and I will have taken, we'll call it Debo Samuel or Irv Smith in the second. Uno Ojro.
So you're taking a center or a guard?
Yep.
So he's going to be right guard or center.
Yes, or center and move. My dream scenario with the offensive line, Frank Ragnow plays right guard, Ooh. Graham Glasgow plays left guard, and somebody else is center.
Nice.
Yeah, so that would be. I mean, that's a lot of moving parts. But if you're going to draft Jonah Williams at a left tackle and move him to right guard, why not move everything? Chaos, mate. Chaos theory.
Oh man, that's awesome. All right.
So I'm taking Jenkins, unless Isaiah Johnson is there. I think that there's depth at cornerback quite a bit more than there is at other positions. So I'm okay with waiting on that. There are good tight ends. Josh Oliver, a guy that I've pimped heavily on Lions Wire. I think he is a real option in that 90 to 120 draft range, 135 draft range. So yeah, there's viable options there that are better than you can get value wise than taking different guys earlier. So I'm okay with that. Interior, you want to take a guard end of day 2, go for it. Do it.
Yeah.
It still puts the Lions way up high in the capital and draft capital invested in the offensive line. I haven't run it this year, but last year only the Cowboys had devoted more, and that was with Lyle Collins being as an undrafted free agent because he was crazy. Yeah. So the Lions have devoted so freaking many resources in the draft over the past decade to the offensive line. And that's why there's a need at tight end. That's why there's a need at wide receiver, because they have spent so many premium picks on non-premium offensive line positions. I hope that Bob Quinn has seen the error of his ways there and fixes that, because the free agent plug and play hasn't really worked all that well. Got lucky with Kenny Golladay, I think, developing in the way he has. Now, some of that's good scouting. I did like Kenny Golladay coming out of Northern Illinois, but he has become what I thought he would be. He is a good number 2, probably a little bit overtaxed as a number 1, especially when you don't have a number 2. And last year, once Golden Tate went away and Marvin Jones got hurt, the Lions didn't even have a number 4.
Be interesting where he grows into this year, right?
It's a big year for him.
Yeah, exactly. Him and Taylor Decker both.
Taylor Decker is in for a huge year because it's where the Lions decide if they want to pick up this 5th-year option. Do they want to just do away with that and sign him to a new deal right away? They're not anywhere near making a decision on that. I know there's a lot of people out there that think that's true. Decker is aware that he needs to have a good year, and the Lions are aware that he can have a good year, and they have not already decided that they're not signing Taylor Decker. I don't know where that started. That's BS. Yeah. That is complete speculative bonk.
The idea is if Decker has a bad year, then it's in question. Otherwise,
yes,
it's just how much. It's just how much after that.
We're not there yet. They got to play the games for that. You just don't know.
And so but the other side of it is we're leading up to next year, which is the last year before the CBA. Where there's gamesmanship that's going to go crazy, right, with all this that's going on. So this year is probably the last sane year we have with players. Next year is going to be absolute insanity. It's going to be a lot of fun for us, but it's going to be insanity for the football world, isn't it?
It's going to, some things will be turned on their heads. Absolutely.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Riz, hey man, you did all this. How can we tell you we love you? Is there a way we can we virtually put our arms around you and just give you a little squeeze? Or what is it? Is it on Twitter? Or is it on Lions Wire? Where can we tell you that we love you?
Twitter's great. I'm always on Twitter. I'm on there more than I want to be, and I'm on there less than I used to be. I'm still on there more than I want to be. But that's a good conduit
there
for
you
it.
go. All right, folks.
Click on the links because my giant son needs to be fed.
And his son is giant, and he eats. He eats. All right, give him the love. I have a big son too, so give us some love.
Yes, you do. I bet your son.
I'm riding on Riz's fucking stardom. Give us all some love. Head us out. Jeff Risdon on Twitter. He's at lionswire.com. He's at brownswire.com. He is at realgm.com. He brings you the meat of the matter every time he shows up. We're, of course, at the Lions Podcast. Oh, stop. This is not that kind of show. Sit down.
Gotta keep the PG friendly rating.
All right, Riz. Thank you so much, man. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.